Hello, my name is Oscar Vasquez, and I'm a freshman in the Life Design Lab. I am a student athlete, and I play football and lacrosse. When I was sitting in my 8th grade classroom picking my freshman courses, I checked the box for Life Design Lab. It was a requirement for the STEM Academy, and in all honesty, I believed it would be an everyday regular class. I expected a standard elective, the kind of class where you walk in, get a rubric, do the bare minimum to hit the requirements, and just wait for the bell to ring. I figured it would be another 80 minutes of the day where I had to follow someone else's directions. However, when I walked into Mr. Daly's room, it was different. Instead of a set of instructions, I found a level of freedom that I wasn't used to. And for a 14-year-old, freedom can be a dangerous thing. In the beginning, I failed the freedom test. Without a teacher hovering over my shoulder, I was off task, I spent time on my phone, I was talking about nothing or just playing games. It took a few months of that cycle for reality to sink in. In this lab, if you don't take the lead on your own life, nothing happens. You just sit there and realize that doing nothing is actually a choice, and it's a choice that leads nowhere. For as long as I could remember, I would tell everybody that I wanted to be a lawyer. So naturally, going into life design, I started a project on career exploration. I reached out to a few actual attorneys and did some research, expecting to find my calling. Instead, I found out that I hated it. The more I looked into it, the more I realized that I was chasing a title rather than a career I'd actually enjoy. I felt a little bit lost. But that failure of a project taught me my first real lesson. It taught me that being adaptable is much more valuable than sticking to a bad plan just because you made it. I realized that I don't like being confined by other people's rules or arguing over existing structures. I like building things. I wanted to create something of my own. That's when the interest in entrepreneurship started. I wanted to be independent, and I also wanted to work with my peers. I was a little hesitant about the idea of a partnership, mostly because relying on someone else is a risk. But I had to stop being a student who waits for instructions and start being a student who takes the initiative. I'm sure we've all heard the phrase, failure is not an option. I believe Mr. Daly brought that up earlier in the year. But as I sat there with a scrapped up project and no clear direction, I realized that not only in this lab, but in life, failure is often the only option. Whether it was an administrator shutting down an idea or putting restraints on what we can and cannot do, or me staring at a bad design on a bad website, I was constantly failing. But I was failing forward. I started seeing this pattern outside the classroom.
Come on.
It showed up on the football field, in the weight room, and on the lacrosse field. I've always had a fear of messing up in front of people, but I learned that being scared to fail is actually one of the biggest weaknesses a person can have. As Winston Churchill said, success is not final and failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. This quote helped me take a different perspective not only on my project, but in my life. It encouraged me to try new things that I've been afraid of. The hole I thought I was in, it wasn't a pit. It was the foundation I needed to actually start building. This new foundation helped me do stuff that I never thought I could have done, such as add 50 pounds to my bench press or have the second strongest squat in the program's history since 2022. But it also led me to starting the clothing line called Momentum that I started with my friend Brendan. We wanted to build school spirit, but also we wanted to see if we could actually run a business. It wasn't a smooth process. My old habits of procrastination didn't disappear overnight. We found ourselves scrambling to get things together for events such as feedback night, learning the hard way that time is the only resource you can't get back. But by the time we got to critique night, the mindset has shifted. We stopped talking about what we could do and started actually producing. We made around 20 shirts. We dealt with the bumps, the misprints, and the logistical headaches of actually selling a product. But when we launched, we sold out in the first 24 hours and made $300. But the feeling of success was what was best. It proved that when a design fails or a plan falls apart, you don't quit, you reiterate, you fix the mistake, and you go again. I learned that when life knocks you down or a design fails, you have to punch back twice as hard. You don't quit because it's hard, you work harder because it's worth it. Every day when I walked into Mr. Daly's class, there was a question waiting for me. Are you ready for whatever comes next? In a normal class, the answer is simple. The next chapter or the final exam. In life, the answer is unknown. However, you can change that. Life design taught me that the answer is entirely up to you. This class showed me that school shouldn't just be about following an answer key or checking off boxes on a rubric to get an A. It's about learning how to think independently and having the discipline to see an idea through even when there's no test at the end. So what did I learn? I learned that I can manage my own responsibilities. I learned that the fear of failure cannot be something that you associate yourself with. And most importantly, I learned that success isn't a grade on paper or a document. It's the decision to show up, stay disciplined, and to not let the fear of failure stop you from starting the next thing. I decided to change my mindset, and I decided to not let fear stop me from starting the next thing. And I've came so far from the beginning of the year. My message is don't be afraid to go to the extra mile or try the new thing. The success will feel great in the end, and you will feel so much better by yourself. My name is Oscar Vasquez. Thank you.